Well, the death toll has risen to at least 104 in Texas, but emergency responders fear that number could continue to rise.
With more rain on the way, rescue crews are racing against the clock to find people missing since the floods. Maribel Gonzalez reports tonight from Kerrville, Texas.
The search and rescue efforts are now shifting towards search and recovery. We know more than 100 people have been reported dead and dozens of others are still missing, including a group of 10 young girls who were at Camp Mystic, a camp that is located along the Guadalupe River, the same river that you see behind us, and that today, going into 4 days after, this disaster looks a lot different than it did even just a few days ago.
Oh, goodness.
As more time passes, hope turns to grief as families desperately search for loved ones who were lost in the floods.
I had to swim through a window and hold on to the meter box outside of the house.
What started as rain early Friday morning quickly turned deadly in central Texas as the Guadalupe River rose more than 20 feet in less than 2 hours, bursting its bank, sending water and debris smashing into homes and tearing down trees. Federal and local agencies and volunteers are scouring areas by boat and air, looking for survivors. But with so much wreckage and more rain in the forecast, it's a challenging and dangerous task.
As the water moves, the debris also, sometimes it falls into the water. You have to worry about these snapped trees falling on top of rescuers.
More than 100 people have died and about 24 are still missing. These two brothers, Brock and Braden Davis, were attending camp in Hunt, one of the hardest hit areas when the floods struck.
Our bed starting tipping over and we got to the top really quick.
At the heart of this tragedy, Camp Mystic, a Christian girls' camp where more than 24 campers and counselors have been confirmed dead. The camp sits next to the Guadalupe River, making it hard for crews to rescue them.
They were in need of airlift. There was no other way to get them out. Bridges were gone, roadways were gone, and the water was coming up too high for boat rescue.
Now, those lingering storms here in central Texas are winding down for the night, and drier weather is expected to come through in the next coming days. That is good news to people here who are clinging to hope that they will be able to find those missing and reunite them with their loved ones. Reporting in Kerrville, Texas, I'm Maribel Gonzalez.
And tonight we know Georgia Representative Buddy Carter had 2 granddaughters at the camp. They were rescued by helicopter and were able to make it home safely. Unfortunately, though, their 9-year-old cousin, who was staying at a different cabin, did not survive.
That's right. So Congressman Carter says that
Hold on. So they was able to get some people out. Yeah, some people were getting saved and a lot of people have been getting found.
100 people died.
It's crazy. Over 24 missing.
That is sickening. I can't believe, and it flooded that quick in under 2 hours.
All the stories about that Christian camp are actually so devastating.
No, that's so sick, but that is so sick. Goodness gracious.
Prayers be with the victims.
Unspeakable.
Shout out to the heroes though that get out there saving people.
Yeah. Wow. Dang guys, this is sick. This is a real American tragedy.
It is 100%.
Well, since y'all got my live taken down, I guess I'll just chit-chat in a video. I mean, I don't understand all this, extraordinary hate or whatever. I get that white people are not used to people telling them and calling them out on their racist double standards and how you wouldn't give a damn about other children and how there's children in ICE detention right now who y'all don't give 2 fucks about. There's no prayers going up for them. But we're supposed to stop the world and stop everything we're doing to go and hunt for these little missing white girls. Again, I actually have empathy, so I can put myself in other people's shoes and understand that that's pretty up. But it seems like y'all don't get that. Y'all don't get that. Y'all don't have the empathy.
I don't understand how this is a race issue.
How do you even get those two together? People are dead, people are missing, and you bringing up white, black, and immigrants and what?
Yeah, I don't understand what the point of that even is. What is the point you're trying to make? You're making this a race issue when it's just a tragedy. Remove the politics here. This is a natural disaster that's it's killing people. People are dying, all because of a flood, and you guys are making this a political thing. The flood was forecasted for weeks. No one knew it was going to be this bad. That's why everyone's being hit and harmed so bad. To make this a race issue, you have some deep internal issues.
Y'all scary as and I don't give a Them little girls, them people died because of racism, not politics. Boom, I said it, I don't give a fuck. Because more YT people will have to DIE in order for the what? CARE. We voted the correct way. You reap what the you sow. Just the night before the flash flood happened, y'all were okay with being stripped away from their families and never seeing them again. People being deported. Y'all were okay with that. Be okay with not finding Sarah Lou. Be okay with never seeing them again. Keep that same energy, because I'm here for it. Because I've been reading the comments and the shit y'all be saying. Y'all didn't give a fuck on us brown people. We sorry that it's white people now, but
The level of hatred you have to have in your heart for a whole race of people to say something like that is astronomical. This right here creates racism. Statements like this. Innocent children are dying, and you are saying they deserved it because they are white.
Well, they keep using this equivalence with like illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrant children are being deported with their parents. They're being sent back to their country of origin or to a country they're able to be deported to. They're not being stripped away. They're not being disappeared. All that is false. And if you know anything about deportation and the facts that what goes into it, you would know that you're an idiot for even believing that and recanting that, because if you read, you know that the families are being deported back to the country they came from together. They're not being they're not being stripped away and disappeared from each other. So to say that because people who broke the law are being sent back to where they came from means that we shouldn't care that Americans are dying, I just don't understand where your head is at. Like you're completely disillusioned, and you're not very bright. You're not very smart on the issues, and you really shouldn't be making these type of videos saying we shouldn't care that children are dying. These are children here. They're innocent. Leave the kids out of it. Like why did no one ever teach you that?
She said they died because of racism.
I'm not understanding what racism both these videos are even talking about.
Is what you just said
not racist?
Saying a group of people deserve to die because the color of their skin. Goodness gracious, bro. I ain't gonna lie, when I see things like this,
it's pretty disappointing.
I don't even know what to say. Like, she is just, I will have to say, it looks like she has evil in her heart.
It's a hard pill to swallow, huh? The fact that if you would have just voted for Kamala, that those kids in Texas and all those families in the RVs would more than likely still be alive. But instead you just made fun of her laugh while people were screaming at you that if he was voted in, people were gonna die. And look where we are. A bunch of parents who can't protect their own kids.
I was not understanding why they're making this a political issue. What was Kamala gonna do? Put on a cape and go stop the flood? Was Trump supposed to build a dam and stop the flood?
It flooded in 2 hours. People are dead. Hundreds of people are dead. Children are missing. And y'all say that people deserve this because of how they voted. I'm not gonna lie. This is keeping it 100. The left will try to call the right divisive for not accepting crazy things like trans and women and men's sport, or men and women's sports. But then when the wildfires and things like that happened in California, I never heard one Republican say they deserve that because they voted for that.
Wow.
I never heard one Republican say that. But now you got people on the left saying that children deserved to die and their parents could not protect them because they voted a certain way. Then you will turn around and call the other side divisive and evil. Is insane to me.
Why does Donald Trump continue to insist on politicizing a storm? The only person making an accusation that people are not getting what they've asked for is Trump. The only person who is politicizing this is Donald Trump. He's the one guy doing it. The Doge of it all was essentially all the things that the federal government is spending money on for the most part is waste and fraud. But clearly, there are some things where spending money saves lives. And it may not save lives in the moment that you spend it, but at some point, somebody's life, somebody's child could have been saved.
Everyone is too hurt to be thinking about this, and all my condolences goes out to all the families, because there's way too many babies that were affected by the Texas flood. But we have to call it a spade and really point out this is on Donald Trump's hands. This is all Donald Trump's fault. Had NOAA had the actual funding that they needed, none of this would have went down. People would have been able to be warned, be able to get away and evacuate when they need to. For an example, I'm from New Orleans. When Katrina happened, we knew Katrina was coming. Even when Katrina was so bad, we still knew Katrina was coming and had enough time to evacuate and not be there.
Who was the president?
These people had no
Katrina,
time to evacuate.
dumbass.
Families changed forever. Beautiful children of this nation. That's our children. Our children were harmed by this. Our families were harmed.
Remember that one time when I was like, this is at the old house, I said, it's raining outside, and the Democrats would say, oh, Trump caused the rain. They literally are doing it. I said this in the video, I said, if it's raining outside, they will blame Trump. And that's literally what happened. We saw the video. It's a flash flood that happened in 2 hours. What could he have done in 2 hours? Let's be honest. It was a natural disaster. It was horrible. I just don't blame it. Making this political, I truly will never understand it. And I'm not going to lie, I don't see the right doing it when things like this happen with the left. I really don't.
Well,
the California fires, I never heard no one say they deserve that because they voted for that.
Some people were saying that.
I ain't gonna
So
say
if you say that, you wrong.
Listen, we weren't saying they deserved the fire. We're just saying when we were politicizing things, we were more so politicizing the response. The response by the LA wildfires was due to poor.
I never heard someone
leadership.
say they deserved for the fires to burn them because they are Democrats.
Yeah, we always would say
like exactly what they just said about the Republicans.
Hawaii is suffering from poor leadership. When Hawaii burned, they didn't get the proper response due to our leadership. When North Carolina flooded from the hurricanes, we were mad at the leadership for not having an appropriate response. When all these natural disasters happened, we were mad at the leadership for the response. We weren't blaming the administration for the natural disaster because it's a natural disaster. We're mad at the response by leadership to it. To blame leadership for a natural disaster is ridiculous. And the Trump administration has been swift on the ground trying to address this. Even RFK has made this a HHS health emergency. So now the HHS will be directing money to help for mental health services and other things. We've seen this administration try to help and rectify this situation, which is an ongoing situation. But we've never said, oh, you guys are Democrats, you got what you voted for. We're saying that the leadership is piss poor and they're doing you a disservice. Like in LA, when the wildfires burn stuff down, we say, hey, it's pretty shitty out there, but these are the leaders y'all elected. So this is the response y'all get from what y'all voted for. We weren't saying y'all got that because of you voted blue. That's dumb.
I hate to be the one who points it out, but it seems like it needs to get pointed out. So are we not paying attention to majority of the videos that's being shared about this flood and the certain that's on the videos? Hopefully this is opening up some eyes and showing people that he watches. I don't matter who's watching. They're watching. They see you as a person and what you're teaching your kids and how your children treat others and how you treat others. And maybe y'all weren't the best of, helping thy neighbor unless they were still or the same as you. Because I find it ironic that it was the deep southern of Texas that it happened to. We knew back in the days where they used to do everything deep down in the southern.
And what a horror story in Texas. The flash floods in Texas, the Guadalupe River. 51 missing, 51 dead, more missing. Children at a camp. And when the president guts all of the early warning systems and the weathering forecast abilities of the government, these are the results that we're going to start to see on a daily basis because he's put this country in so much danger by his horrible, horrible decisions and this ridiculously immoral bill that he just signed into law. As Republicans cheered, people will die as a result, and they've started already.
Shame on him. It's pissing me off.
Shame on every GOP sycophant who's listening and following the disastrous decisions of this mentally incapacitated POTUS.
I'm sure you can understand that these are the two worst voting demographics in this country. White liberal women and black liberal women. Two worst voting demographics in this country. The fucking worst. The absolute worst. Every time we watch one of these videos, it's just dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber.
It hurt my brain.
It's actually annoying to listen to.
Bruh, this girl right here, what she said, if a white person got on there during a time like this and said that about black people, oh my goodness, bro.
I actually tuned out when she was talking. She was just saying, yapping.
This, comments like this, takes like this, create racism. These are the people keeping racism alive. These people.
But at the federal level, you have the Trump administration saying for most of the time that they've been in power that they want to eliminate FEMA as an agency. President Trump has said it. Ted Cruz, the senator, has said it. Let's just play some of what Trump has said over the last few months.
I think we're going to recommend that FEMA go away. FEMA has been a very big disappointment. They cost a tremendous amount of money. It's very bureaucratic, and it's very slow.
We want to wean off of FEMA, and we want to bring it down to the state level. A little bit like education, we're moving it back to the states so the governors can handle it. That's why they're governors now. If they can't handle it, they shouldn't be governor. But the FEMA thing has not been a very successful experiment. Very, very expensive, and it doesn't get the job done.
Are you still planning to phase out FEMA?
Well, FEMA is something we can talk about later, but right now they're busy working, so we'll leave it at that.
Isn't this just more proof that FEMA is needed? They are working, as he just said.
First off, I don't think I can't start talking about this without talking about how much we're praying for the 10 or 12 families who are still waiting on news of their child in Central Texas. Those of us who've been camp parents know that you have a lot of trepidation when you hand your kid over to strangers, and camp's a wonderful experience for kids, but every parent's been scared when they did it. FEMA comes in after a disaster. FEMA comes in and aids the state and local officials after a disaster has happened. It's not about disaster preparedness. And disasters in this country are handled by the states and handled by the localities. FEMA mainly serves as a funding source and a lot of red tape between the taxpayers and those localities. It's a fair question to say whether we need to get rid of FEMA or not, because the states could make better use of the money that FEMA is currently soaking up in Washington.
There is a disaster preparedness role to FEMA. And I mean, you're right that they are there in the moments after something happens. But one of the jobs of federal agencies is, as a force multiplier, they also are able to see more than what local officials are able to see and help coordinate.
Talk to state emergency management officials. They'll tell you that FEMA's usually in the way. That everybody who's worked in the hurricane belt knows that. The expertise is at the state level for this. No one's saying the federal government shouldn't help in disasters. No one's saying they shouldn't be of assistance. The question is whether that money's best used with the bureaucracy in Washington or in a state and local area.
I think there's been questions about the National Weather Service. I think, FEMA did get impacted by DOGE, but FEMA also has $646 million that is now going to be cut. The thing about this is a tragedy. And if anyone could have done anything different, they would have. But also, it's not just a federal question. It sounded like people locally did not want to spend the money. And I think that there is this stigma about using government money for anything with conservatives, that we should just have a more honest conversation. And if an elected official could go back and say, you know what, I can make the convincing argument to a taxpayer about why we need to spend this. This is good use of government funding, and it's not just wasteful spending or fraud and abuse. But
the DOGE of it all was essentially all the things that the federal government is spending money on for the most part is waste and fraud. But clearly, there are some things where spending money saves lives, and it may not save lives in the moment that you spend it, but at some point, somebody's life, somebody's child could have been saved.
Well, I think something that gets lost in this is the DOGE cuts have actually not taken effect. They don't take effect until October 1st. And if you talk to the National Weather Service, they say we had 5 staffers instead of the normal 2 that were on hand. We were giving alerts on Thursday warning about this. You talked to the union head of the National Weather Service staffers and said, yeah, we did every single thing we could possibly do. And you're right, it did go back to the localities, but that's where the money goes, and it's up to a local municipality or town to say, hey, yeah, we can afford this or we can't afford this. They put in for a federal grant, they didn't get it. And I mean, it's a terrible situation, but I do think the National Weather Service followed through on everything that they were supposed to do based off of all the current reporting.
Yeah, and that's right. I think on Thursday night, they did send out the notices on it, but what happened on the ground, that's something different. But you're right about that, about the notices going out on Thursday. On that. Look, I sit on appropriations, and one of the committees I sit on is Homeland Security, which has FEMA, so I've been dealing with FEMA. President Trump is right about one thing, and that is there is a bureaucracy to FEMA. There is a bureaucracy. So I'm one of those. My philosophy is, do we need to streamline? Do we need to reform FEMA? Absolutely. But there are certain times in our country where there's a situation that the federal government has to come in and coordinate, and FEMA can do that only if they get reformed, only if they get streamlined, because it has become bureaucratic. I can tell you that because I sit on that committee, and there's been times where we were trying to get some things, and it was just bouncing from one place to the other place. So streamline it, reforming it. I agree with President Trump and with you also, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think most people who are on the receiving end of disaster relief can tell you it's nothing but bureaucracy sometimes. But the question is, should the agency exist?
Yes.
I think that's the question that the Trump administration, the Trump administration has put that on the table.
Well, the
so that's why we are
it doesn't have
having
to
a
exist in the
conversation.
shell that is the current agency. There will be a federal role for disaster, but sometimes agencies are so rotten you have to start over.
Every single person on the panel except the 2 CNN pandering black women got cooked. These gentlemen, Henry Cuellar, how are you saying, brother? I'm sorry. Democrat. Then we got the 2 other gentlemen, got up there and cooked her. All of them proved Trump's point. All of them disproved what she said. I bet they thought he was going to agree with them. He said, I agree with Trump. It's bureaucratic. We can't even get to the money. We've been trying to bust it on the panel, on the committee, and we try to get stuff done. It just bounces the place around.
Wow.
They said FEMA doesn't even come in till after the tragedy. So all the stuff they talking about, well, this could have been prevented with FEMA. FEMA doesn't prevent tragedies. They come in after tragedies, and the state could use the money and directly fix the tragedies without FEMA. So that just means the tax dollars are going to FEMA for FEMA to come in and dictate how they spend the tax dollars. I believe the state should be able to dictate how they want to handle each tragedy. I think that's more fair.
Well, people know their state best as well, you know?
Exactly.
And
that's why
they kind of disproved themselves by saying, okay, this happened because of the funding situation right now with FEMA and the state and all this stuff.
Ain't even been cut yet. Till October the 1st.
It hasn't been cut yet. So if it hasn't been cut yet, the current situation we're in is not good according to you. And that situation is being changed. So I bet they didn't know that it wasn't going into effect till October. I bet they didn't know that. Because they said that, you know, if the FEMA wasn't cut, you know, then these people, this blood wouldn't be on Donald Trump's hands. Wait, it hasn't happened yet. So how is this blood on his hands? Come on, y'all. This is ridiculous.
Talk crap about the big beautiful bill, man.
Literally,
they haven't even kicked in on anything yet.
It's just pure propaganda as usual. But I'm sure they didn't expect these men on the panel to absolutely sit here and to destroy their argument, destroy the lies that they're trying to peddle, and then shut down this complete false outrage that they were trying to promote to the people. But hey, facts don't care about your feelings, and the facts will always prevail.